Shalom, shalom. First off, I want to start by giving all the glory, infinite praise, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that do rule and teach well. Peace, love, and salutation to the hopeful elect that is out there pushing this truth in all sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth, giving diligence to make your calling and election sure. Shalom. This is your brother Hashar from the Great Millstone Savannah Camp, coming back in the spirit with another lesson. Lord willing, I pray and hope that it is edifying and exhorting. All right, and I wanted to do this lesson to basically apologize and say Salakia, all right, because during our camp this week I misspoke, all right, and I want to just clear up um you know something that I said during the camp um that was incorrect, all right, concerning the woman at the well, all right. And during the lesson, I basically said that she was an Israelite woman, all right, which is it's incorrect, it's false, all right. And I'm gonna go into the precept Mark, I believe it's Mark, no, it's John chapter 4, and yeah, here it is right here. It says John chapter 4 and verse 7. It says, there cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Yahushua said unto her, give me to drink, for his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, how is it that thou, being a Jew, askest me, which am a Samaritan woman? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. Okay, and basically this passage right here, which I misspoke. All right, this is basically making that you know what do you say, just distinguishment between the two. All right, um going in and showing you that she wasn't of Hebrew descent. All right, she wasn't a a descendant of Jacob. Okay, she was of a different nation. She was of a heathen nation. All right, verse 10, it says, and Yahushua answered and said unto her, if thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that saith to thee, give me to drink, thou wouldst have asked him, and he would have given thee living water, which he was just, basically toying around with her. Okay. Um, and because he knew who her husband was, right, which he's gonna, um, clarify, right? It says, the woman said unto him, sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence hast thou that living water? Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself and his children and his cattle? Yahushua answered and said unto her, whoso drinketh of this well shall thirst again, but whoso drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in a well of water springing up, Salakia. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. And the woman said unto him, sir, give me this water, that I thirst not, neither come hither to draw. Yahushua said unto her, go call thy husband and come hither. Right? Because her husband she was probably more than likely married to an Israelite man. right? And then when, the brother made a beautiful point that even when you're dealing with women, you really don't want to, deal with them directly. You want to deal with their husband, all right? Pursuant to, I believe it's Corinthians where it says, let the woman, it might be Galatians, it said, let the woman learn in silence, and if she learn anything, learn it from her husband, okay? So he was really, just being wise, okay? And then he knew that she wasn't going to get it anyway. Verse 17, it says, the woman answered and said unto him, I have no husband. Yahweh said unto her, thou hast well said, I have no husband, for thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband, in that thou in that saidest thou truly. All right. The woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. All right. It says, For our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say that Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship. Okay. Um, and going into the history, all right. Um, basically, you read Second Kings, the 17th chapter, you know, the king Shalmaneser basically had taken Samaria from the Israelites that were dwelling there. All right, and they brought in certain of the men. Um, you know, they brought in certain heathen. All right, um, and it tells you how they were worshiping idols. They were being evil. All right. Um, and I'm gonna go into I kind of want to get into some of the history, right? This is Second Kings 17 and 24. It says the king of Assyria transported groups of people from Babylon, Qatar, Ava, Hamath, and Sepharvaim, and settled and resettled them in the towns of Samaria, replacing the people of Israel. So from the time of Kings, all right, from the time of the Assyrian captivity, okay, or the Assyrian conquest of Jerusalem and Samaria, right, there were, heathen that were being put in place in Samaria, okay, and there was a lot of heathen there in the land already, all right, so, imagine, years, centuries down the line, right, a lot of the descendants that were living there, they were of other nations, right? It says they took possession of Samaria and lived in its towns. But since these warriors, the foreign settlers did not worship the Lord, when they first arrived, the Lord sent lions among them, which killed some of them. So a message was sent to the king of Assyria. The people you have sent to live in the towns of Samaria do not know the religious customs of God, of the God of the land. He has sent lions among them to destroy them because they have not worshipped him correctly. It says the king of Assyria then commanded, send one of the exiled priests back to Samaria, let him live there and teach the new residents the religious customs. So this is what was taking place. You had a priest teaching heathen the customs of the Jews, all right? And this is why, it's important to just go into the history, man. And all right, and because you can fall victim. And I'm speaking from experience. All right, it's history and really the scriptures is important to constantly study. All right, to constantly get the breakdown of the scriptures so you don't misspeak, so you don't have to go back and qualify things. All right, but even when you do, all right, part of being a man of the Lord, part of being in His truth. All right, part of humility, all right, is admitting when you're wrong. Okay. and actually being sorrowful and repenting and fixing the issue. Okay. So this is why, I wanted to go into this video, this topic. All right. And it could be that, could be that the Lord wanted this topic to come out. All right, for new listeners. It says the king of Assyria then commanded, send one of the exiles priests back to Samaria, let him live there and teach the new residents the religious customs of the God of the land. So one of the priests who had been exiled from Samaria returned to Bethel and taught the new residents how to worship Yahweh the Lord. It says, but various groups of foreigners also continued to worship their own gods. Salakia. It says in town after town where they lived, they placed their idols at the pagan shrines that the people of Samaria had built. Those from Babylon worship idols of their god Succoth, Benoth, Benoth. Uh, those of Katath worship their god Nergal, and those from Hamath worship Ashimah. The Avidites worship their god Nibus, Nibhaz, and um, Tartah, Tartak, and the people of Sepharvaim, um, even burned their own children as sacrifices unto their god Adar Aramelech and Am Anamelech. Okay, it says these new residents worship the Lord, but they also appointed for themselves all sorts of people as priests to offer sacrifices at the places of worship. And though they worship Yahweh, they continue to follow their own gods according to the religious customs of the nations from which they came. So when you read this chapter, you understand why Yahweh Shah was speaking to the woman this way, right? When he says in verse 21, it says, Yahweh Shah said unto her, woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye neither in this mountain nor yet at Israel worship the Father. All right. Because it'll only be Israelites there, man. All right. In the kingdom of heaven, all right, when the true righteousness is set up, all right, only the Israelites will be able to, worship Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah, right? Um, the other nations will reverence, all right, but they won't be able to come to the Holy Land. All right, they'll have to, serve the Lord by serving the Israelites, man, under our tutelage. Okay. Verse 22, it says, ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. And though you have certain of the Sumerians, keeping the customs of uh Judaism, so-called Judaism, right? Or, keeping the customs of the Israelites, right? They were still sacrificing unto pagan idols and gods, right? So he said, what? Ye know not what ye worship, for we know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews, right? Meaning salvation is of the Israelites, all right? It says, but the hour cometh and now is when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. And this is, it's beautiful because it kind of lines up with, you know, what's required as a man of the Lord to worship Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai in spirit and in truth, meaning that if you say something that's wrong, if you say something that goes off, you have to correct it. You have to, put out the truth of the matter. You have to sing the song correctly, right? And that's important. It's important because there might be someone who listens to that, man, and for the rest of their um tutelage or the rest of their learning, that's what they're running with. They're running with your breakdown that was wrong. Okay, so I just want to get on here and correct myself on misspeaking. It says, "For the Father seeketh such to worship him," right? Yahweh is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So the truth matters, man. What color Yahweh Shah is, his name, all right, who his people are, all right, who the wicked is, all that matters. It's the truth, all right. And no matter, what people like to say, the truth is important, okay? The truth it's what separates the light from the darkness. All right. So, I just want to do this quick lesson, Lord willing. It was edifying and exhorting. I want to end off by giving all the glory, infinite praise, and honor unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Hakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace, love, and salutation to the hopeful elect that is out there pushing this truth in all sincerity. Shalom and a Bible ball.